I'm Mike the Vegan, and today we're going to explore 5 reasons why vegans are better at sex, according to the sexiest thing out there. Vegans do it better. Reason number 1, erectile dysfunction. People on a plant-based diet don't have this problem. Even Men's Health got in on the action. Though erectile dysfunction was, quote, once assumed to be a problem primarily rooted in the psyche, ED is now understood to frequently have a physiological basis. That basis is a clogged penile artery. The penile artery is much finer than other arteries in the body. It's about half the width of a heart artery. As all those cholesterol-filled animal products start to catch up with you, the penile artery is going to be the first to clog. The link between ED and heart disease is so intimate that a study following 13,000 men found that if you went in to get treated by your doctor for ED, you were twice as likely to have a heart attack later. And if you were over 40, this study shows that you were 50 times more likely to die of a heart attack later down the road. I know what you're thinking. Erectile dysfunction's for old dudes. No, that's not the case. 1 in 4 people under 40 have erectile dysfunction. And when I say people, I mean men. Half of which were considered severe cases. You might be thinking that's a little young for arteries being clogged. No. They did a study in Texas and showed that 10-year-olds, nearly all of 10-year-olds, have fatty streaks on their aorta. So how is artery health actually different for vegans? Well, this image speaks for itself. This is before and after of a heart artery on a plant-based diet. Not to mention the cholesterol of vegans is way lower than vegetarians or omnivores, with vegans coming in at 146, vegetarians coming in at 177, and omnivores at 192. Number 2, circulation. This is a bit more focused on women and the benefits for women, specifically the female orgasm. The more circulation you have, the more blood gets to your nerves, and the more sensation can be felt. And I've heard first-hand accounts of women feeling increased levels of pleasure after going on a vegan diet. Well, here's how that might happen. It turns out, just as the penile artery can easily be clogged, so can the blood vessels in your nerves. To explore this process more, we can look to the not-so-sexy diabetic neuropathy, where people's nerves are constantly burning and they're in extremely intense pain and there's no conventional treatment. If you do biopsies on people with diabetic neuropathy, you can actually see the tiny blood vessels in their nerves being clogged with fatty deposits and cholesterol and things like that. So this clogging actually deprives the nerves of blood, deprives them of oxygen, and makes them just fire like crazy for no reason. But if you put people on a plant-based diet, that diabetic neuropathy that has been burdening them for years, decades sometimes, can melt away in days. This study showed complete relief of pain in 80% of the participants in just 4 to 16 days. And they also showed a drop in their cholesterol, which would explain why. Setting aside how ridiculously amazing that is, for the average woman, clogged nerve arteries might just mean less sensation and less sexual pleasure. So, go vegan, get rid of that. Maybe your nerves in particular aren't clogged. Well, let's just look at circulation in general on a plant-based diet. Here's a before and after of somebody that went on a plant-based diet with their blood flow shown in red. Tell me who is having better sex. Now, number 3, raw sexual performance.
Focus on my mustache. Focus.
Vegans last longer. From an endurance perspective, here's a Danish study that put people on stationary bicycles until muscle failure. They found that a high meat diet, people lasted less than an hour. A mixed meat and vegetable diet, people lasted about 114 minutes. And a vegan diet, they lasted 167 minutes. And the epitome of endurance, Scott Jurek, ultramarathoner who holds the US record for the longest distance run in 24 hours at 165 miles. And to draw the connection between stamina and obesity, comparing a vegan, vegetarian diet and a meat diet, the vegan group is the only one in the normal BMI range. Next point, number 4, hormones. People tend to falsely try and demasculinize vegans by saying, oh, there's so much phytoestrogen in soy. Well, to that I say, what about all of the actual mammal estrogens that are naturally present in animal products? Let's look at dairy. Because they milk the cow during pregnancy in commercial operations, dairy can be responsible for 60 to 80% of our dietary intake of estrogen. What about the other 20 to 40% of estrogen we eat? Well, it turns out that in the US, 90% of cattle are given a time-release hormone implant when they enter the feedlot. This is because estrogen can increase growth by 20 to 30%. All of this crazy estrogen might be why vegan men have higher levels of testosterone than vegetarians and omnivores, yet they have lower levels of testosterone-associated cancers. Ingesting animal hormones is just a bad idea for men and women. As we know, hormone imbalances can lead to a lower sex drive. Also, a vegan diet helps because eating more plants means more fiber, which actually balances hormones, as you can see in my juice fasting video. Number 5, male fertility, specifically sperm quality. People like to joke about how it's good to have bad sperm quality because they won't accidentally impregnate anybody, but down the line, if someone's actually trying to have kids, it's probably not funny when your sperm is pretty challenged. Here's a scary graph from a study following 26,000 men and their semen quality, showing that worldwide semen quality is lowering, not just in concentration, but also they're becoming more deformed. It can't just be diet that's screwing with sperm though, can it? Well, here's a study showing that, quote, increasing saturated fat intake by 5% of total calories at the expense of carbohydrates was associated with a 38% lower sperm count. That's illustrated by this chart from another study showing the direct correlation between dietary saturated fat and sperm quality. And here's a quote directly from the American Heart Association's website saying, quote, the majority of saturated fat comes from animal products such as beef, lamb, pork, butter, skin, cream. You get the idea. It's a lot of gross stuff. But how does saturated fat actually affect the sperm quality? Like how your penile artery gets clogged, your testicular arteries might also get clogged, and without as much blood flow, the sperm quality could go down. And the more saturated fat you're eating, the less antioxidants you're probably getting. And there are studies showing that sperm quality is directly correlated to antioxidant intake. In conclusion, eradicate erectile dysfunction, improve your blood flow, improve your stamina, balance your hormones, and become more fertile by going vegan. Save your sex life. Go vegan.